Hi, my name is Jessica Holmes, and I'm with Channel 24, and the holiday season is just around the corner. We have decided to sit down with two public safety officials here in Jonesboro, Arkansas. First, we have Sergeant Stephen McDaniel from the police department, and he has come to discuss safety tips during the Christmas season. Well, Thanksgiving is around the corner, followed up by Black Friday. Can you tell us some safety tips for shoppers out there?
Well, again, our biggest problem on Black Friday is usually the traffic. People come in from all across this area to come shopping in Jonesboro. We're very happy to see them here, but it does cause a lot of traffic congestion, and we ask that people just budget a little bit of extra time if they're planning on coming out and shopping on Black Friday. Some of the things that we see crime-wise during the retail season, especially during Christmas and that time right after Thanksgiving, is vehicle break-ins. So a lot of this is caused by people that leave packages in their cars where they can be seen by someone intent on breaking in a car. So what we recommend is that you take those packages and put them up in the trunk of the car and get them out of sight at the very least. If you have time, you can take your packages back to the house and then go back out shopping if you have to go to other places, but definitely get them out of sight. Another thing that we get stolen from vehicles are purses. A lot of times ladies will leave their purses in the cars where they're visible, and to a criminal that's an opportunity to steal something. So we ask that they take their purses again and put them in the trunk, carry only the cash that you need and only the credit cards that you plan on using, and just try to be a little bit safer by keeping those things out of sight and out of mind for a criminal.
What about the forgery?
What we recommend is, especially around the holiday seasons, we do have an increased number of forgeries that happen during that time. So we would just recommend that everyone keep a close eye on their bank statements and their credit card statements and be willing to go ahead and report that to the police and report that to the bank as soon as they notice any kind of discrepancy on those statements. So again, carry only the credit cards that you need during that season and only the amount of cash that you think you might need during that time too, because criminals see an increased opportunity to take property from someone during those times because there are just so many victims or potential victims out there. So just keep a close eye on those credit card statements and bank statements. Definitely report that to the police and to your banking institution as soon as possible.
After Christmas time, what do you recommend people do with their gift boxes?
Right. Normally during the holiday season, right after Christmas, we see an increase of new boxes out on the curbside that essentially advertise what brand new items are inside the house. So what we recommend is, in order to keep a criminal from thinking there's a great opportunity to steal something, we recommend that they break those boxes down, put them in the trash can, or put them in a big trash bag where it doesn't advertise what type of brand new item that they have in the house. Many of our residential burglaries happen during the daytime, so we ask that people be especially vigilant during the daytime and afternoon hours. Look out for each other, look out for your neighbors, and most importantly, call the police immediately if you see anything suspicious.
Around the holidays, a lot of people like to drink and drive. How can we avoid that?
During the holiday season, we expect that there's a higher number of parties out there, and with that comes a higher number of drinking and drunk drivers on the road. So we just like to remind everyone, please do not drink and drive. We step up enforcement during those periods because we know there's an increase in drunken drivers on the roads, so they're likely to be arrested if they're driving drunk. Also, we want everyone else who is driving sober to know that there may be an increased number of drunk drivers on the road, and be especially vigilant if they're driving to look out for that type of behavior. Report it to the police as soon as they see anything that's out of place or looks dangerous.
Well, thank you for explaining how to stay safe around the holidays.
Thank you.
And next, we have Chief Leonard Jadridge from the Fire Department, and he will discuss how to stay warm in the fall and how to prevent any fire hazards. Hi, today I'm here with Leonard Jadridge from the Fire Department here in Jonesboro. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Okay, and today we are here to discuss some of the fire hazards because it's fall break and the weather is starting to change and it's starting to be really cold. So can you tell us the safest way to keep warm or to have space heaters in our home?
Well, you know, this time of year, we do experience more fires inside the house because a lot of people are moving more and more to the inside. One of the first things that I always like to mention this time of year is with the time change is changing the batteries in your smoke detectors. I mean, that becomes our first line of defense. The smoke detector is going to go off well before the conditions are too bad that you can get out of your house. In other words, they go off early, so that's a good thing. One of the other things that we have is the weather starts getting cold. As a matter of fact, today is the first cold day. I actually turned my heater on in my house. We start bringing out space heaters and things like that, and we got to make sure that we're careful with these things. They work good, but they've got to be used in the right manner. In other words, like a space heater, it should not be any more closer to a combustible, something that'll burn from like 3 to 5 feet. We got to be careful where we place the cords. We don't want the cords going underneath chairs so that the chair is rubbing on it and creates a short and things like that. We definitely want to keep the space heaters away from places like the bathrooms and in the bedrooms, because what happens is people will take a shower or whatever and toss their towel down and the towel will fall on top of it, or by the bed the blanket will fall on it, that sort of thing. So we got to be careful of that. Another thing that always comes to my mind as the weather gets cold, in my family we like to cook a lot of soups and stews and things like that, which is really good. But what happens is we put the soup on and we forget an ingredient, so we say, okay, I'm gonna run down to the store and get the ingredient and come back, and we leave the stove on. And we come back and we find our house, on fire. So we got to be real careful of those kind of things. One other thing that I do want to mention is the fireplaces. It's a little late now to have a chimney sweep look at your fireplace, but every year it should be inspected by a certified person to make sure the creosote's not built up in the flue. We do tend to have a lot of what we call chimney fires this time of year, and you might be able to get a chimney sweep out now, but you just got to be careful how we use those things. Make sure there's a grate in front of the fireplace so the logs don't roll out and things like that.
How long do you suppose you can keep the fire going in your house?
For a fireplace? Well, if you're using it right, you should be able to keep it going all the time. Just make sure there's a grate in front of it, like I said. You don't want to build the fire bigger than what your fireplace can handle. You certainly don't want to, and we have this quite often, you certainly don't want to throw your used pizza boxes in the fireplace to burn up and things like that. So just use it properly, and like I mentioned, at least once a year have someone come out and check the flue to make sure that there's no cracks in the flue and there's no creosote built up in the flue.
Okay. Now, you mentioned space heaters in your house. Do you think having an electric blanket is a big fire hazard?
We haven't, I don't know that I've ever experienced a fire that was caused by an electric blanket. Of course, again, you got to be careful and follow manufacturers. You don't want to wad it up and put stuff on top of it and leave it on and things like that. But they seem to be fairly safe, and they'll typically perform okay.
Okay. Well, Thanksgiving is around the corner. Can you tell us about some of the fire hazards? By cooking, you say if you leave your stove on and run to the store, it could catch on fire. How can we prevent that from happening?
Well, the number one way is don't leave your stove on.
Right.
Or if you're going to leave, have someone else there and watch it. I know, well, I don't want to admit that I've probably done it too, but I know we do those sort of things. But we just got to be real careful. Thanksgiving's coming up. Some of the big issues we have with Thanksgiving is, everybody likes to deep fry a turkey, and I like deep fried turkey, but we need to make sure that the turkey's not frozen, it doesn't have a lot of water in it, and if you do have a grease fire from that, we don't put water on it to put it out. If you've ever seen a grease fire from a frozen turkey put in there, I mean, it's just tremendous. The fire will shoot up 10, 15 feet up in the air, and so if we're going to deep fry a turkey, I always recommend to people that do it outside for one thing, but make sure it's thawed. And again, you just got to make sure, not just with fires, but you have all kinds of burn hazards when you start cooking Thanksgiving meals around there. So that if you're carrying something that's hot and you burn yourself, you're liable to drop it in the grease spill and things like that. And that can catch on fire too, especially if you have a gas stove. So we just have to be a little bit more careful, because in the wintertime, we tend to operate those appliances more than we do in the summertime.
Okay, and that leads us up to Christmas, which is my favorite holiday. Now, I know around that time, a lot of people like to have real Christmas trees in their house, and I know that's a big fire hazard. So,
It can be. It can be. And you know, real Christmas trees, if you handle them right and they can be safe. I don't recommend you buy a Christmas tree on Thanksgiving and keep it there till January 25th because they will dry out. But if we do have a live Christmas tree, we got to remember you got to keep flames away from that tree. You don't put candles around it, lit candles around it. Make sure it has plenty of water in the basin so that it keeps some of the moisture content in it. There is ways to dip the Christmas trees and spray them. There's commercial products that'll help them not be so flammable. What I like to tell people, if they want to have a live Christmas tree, which my wife, she loves the smell of them, we just don't do the pine needle mess anymore. I recommend that, get your Christmas tree a week before Christmas or something, right after Christmas, then move the tree out. Because those Christmas trees, if they catch on fire, they'll go up in flames in a matter of 15, 20 seconds, and they produce a lot of BTUs, a lot of heat from that, which could cause other contents in your rooms to catch on fire.
So I know everyone likes to hang their stockings up over the fireplace.
Yeah, now see, I hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah.
But
Is that an easy way for the stockings to catch on fire?
Obviously, if you're using a fireplace, it is, because if you ever put your hand up in front of the fireplace, there's a lot of heat coming out of there. You don't want to put anything up on that mantle if you're using it. A lot of times people will put those lacy things, hang over the mantles and hang down and things like that.
Right.
But if you're going to use your fireplace as a working fireplace, you need to make sure that's all clear. Same with presents around the fireplace. A lot of people like to put them around on the sides of it and things like that. Just need to be careful of that.
Okay. Well, I learned a lot today about fire hazards this winter. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
I'm Jessica Holmes. This is Channel 24.
Hi, I'm Leonard Jadrich, the Fire Chief of the Jonesboro Fire Department, and I just wanted to remind everybody this time of year to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. That's your number one defense of getting you and your family outside of a house in the event of an emergency or a fire.